We are Matt and Monique, parents to 5 beautiful daughters and 1 dashing son. With 5 of our children out of the house and on their own, I quit my job, sold our home and everything else we own to begin the adventure of a lifetime with our youngest daughter Morgan and her dog Tito's. Our goal is to complete America's Great Loop, but first we must travel from California to Mexico and eventually to Florida. Join us as we travel down the coast of California and Mexico. We will see and explore new places and meet new people along the way and learn how to live as a family afloat, exploring both land and sea. Last week we had the boat hauled for bottom paint, and if you remember, the bottom didn't look too good. Now that we've power washed it and let it dry for at least 24 hours, the real damage is quite apparent. We've got some blisters, we have some areas that clearly need to be sanded out and resurfaced, but right here at the transom is where the most damage is. And it took quite a bit to bring that back to life. Of considerable concern are those areas that have no paint. But we won't know the true condition of the bottom until we get all of this old bottom paint off and down to the gel coat. Alright, so last night they finished grinding all of the old paint and gel coat off the bottom of the boat. And you can see where there have been some earlier repairs. I think that's not bad right there. And now they're just washing it up. But yeah, look how smooth everything looks. There are going to be some repairs that are needed. Here's a repair that's an old repair. Here's where another repair is going to have to be made. That's bad. That's going to have to be repaired. But all in all, I have to say, I think it looks better than what I was expecting after they got it all off. And look at that, gold rudders. It's been a couple of days since the bottom of the boat was completely stripped of all the paint and the old gel coat, which is 50 years old, so it was cracking and definitely needed to be removed. It was letting some moisture into the fiberglass, so we had it completely stripped down. We also had some of these big blisters ground out, and there's a few of them that are going to have to be repaired. But after that, we'll put a new barrier coat in, an epoxy barrier coat, and the boat should be good for another 50 years. So very excited about that. One of the things that the manager of the boatyard was surprised at is the moisture content in the fiberglass. They thought that the damage was significant, that they were going to find a great deal more moisture inside the fiberglass. And lucky for us, that's not what they found. So we're going to let the hull dry out just a little bit longer before we start repairing the blisters and doing the epoxy coat. Meanwhile, I've ordered the service kits for the stabilizers. This one's leaking a little bit inside, so we'll get that all serviced. Those have to be serviced every 5 to 10 years, and I don't think it's been done for quite some time, so if it ever was done. The other side is perfect, but we're going to replace those just as preventative maintenance. Speaking of preventative maintenance, I had the cutlass bearings. Let me see if I can put it like. We didn't have any problems with the cutlass bearings. So, however, the prior owner had never replaced them. So I thought, as a preventative measure, I would replace the cutlass bearings. Well, and just so you know, hold on. So for those people that don't know what a cutlass bearing is, cutlass bearing fits into these stanchions so that the drive shaft can move around. And obviously they get hot and they need water to pass through. Well, here is one of the cutlass bearings that was removed, and I don't know if you can see that, but that rubber inside has just about worn completely away. There's been barely any channels for the water to go through and cool that shaft down. So that was a good call on our part. Got to do some preventative maintenance on the boat that hasn't been done for a while. Here's a cutout view of one of the worn cutlass bearings, and these are supposed to be much deeper to let as much water go through as possible, keep the shafts nice and cool. And like you can see how they've been worn down quite a bit. Look at the material that they use on these things. It's just beautiful. I suppose I did mention that we were drying out the boat. So here is an area. You can see that the blister was here. This is moisture that's being sucked out of where that blister was created. And there's a couple of spots like that. Not a lot, which is kind of lucky. So here's one right here. So the moisture's being drawn out there. Yeah, there's one right there. Oh, there's one right there that you can see. Nothing really unusual for a boat of this vintage, but you know, we need to fix it and make sure that the boat is running well.
So we've been allowing the hull to dry naturally for the past 2 months, and tests revealed that there's very little moisture left in the bottom. So we're going to start the process of repairing all of the holes that were made when grinding out the blisters. As you can see, there's just a ton of these suckers throughout the entire length of the boat. The next step will be to grind or sand those repairs flush with the boat, and then get the boat ready for its barrier coat, which should protect the bottom for the next 50 years. Here's a quick shot of the repair on the transom before we fix it all up.
So these are the propellers for the bow thruster. You can kind of see that they're not in the best shape. They've got divots in them. I'm assuming from electrolysis. I think that's the worst one. Maybe that's the worst one. This side looks pretty good. That's where they're all gonna go.
The workers have been working really hard on the bottom of the boat. A couple days ago, they sealed the entire bottom with epoxy. They applied the first barrier coat on the bottom, and then yesterday they applied all of the fairing, and today they are sanding that fairing so that the bottom will be completely smooth for the next 2 coats of barrier coat and then the bottom paint. This is what the fairing looks like before it's sanded. After they sand the fairing, they go over it again to make sure that everything is smooth. And if it's not, they put another coat of fairing, and then they'll sand that also.
So the fairing's been completed, and now they're putting the last coat of barrier coat.
on it. And there he is, hard at work. Tell you what, these guys work so damn hard, it's unbelievable. Now the bear coat doesn't smell very good, so we're gonna go for a little bit more of a walk. But look at this. Look at how nice this bottom looks. Absolutely beautiful. Yep. We should. Looks like they're putting the first coat of bottom paint on. There you go, look at that. Looks good. Oh, my pretty bronze stanchions are now painted black. Bummer. But the boat's looking pretty. So now that my bottom's all pretty and smooth, we've drilled holes in the back of them for our lights, which is what we're getting ready for over here. Look at these suckers. That's pretty nice, huh? Hope they don't leak. So we've reached that point where the bottom is just about finished. We have our pretty water lights on. You can see that this is where the big repairs were made, and yeah, you can't even tell that there was ever any problem there. The fairing on the bottom looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. So my brother was joking that with this pretty nice smooth bottom, we may be able to pick up another knot or so. I don't know about that, but everything looks absolutely beautiful and amazing. And we even got the props put on. Look at how nice those look. So, not too much longer, we should be splashing in the water. Not much more to do. How's that for excitement? Oh, and that's only for the bottom. The top side's been done too, but we'll save that for our next video. If you've enjoyed this video, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel.